Hello, my name is Emma, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a spoiler-free review of Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry. If you have been on my YouTube channel, on any of my social media accounts in the last 2 or 3 weeks, you have probably heard me rave about Heretics Anonymous, so I am here today to give you a spoiler-free review on all of my thoughts. Heretics Anonymous hits shelves on August 7th. I don't know if I am posting this book pre-release date or after release date, but it is amazing and you absolutely should reserve it at your local library or pre-order it or pick it up at your local bookstore, what have you. It is absolutely amazing and I want everyone in the world to read it. If you have not heard of Heretics Anonymous, it follows a boy named Michael whose family has moved around a lot as a part of his dad's job, and he is set to start a new school right in the middle of the semester, which happens to be a Catholic school. But this happens to be problematic for Michael as he is an atheist. Michael's goal is just to make one friend who is also a non-believer, someone that understands the situation that he's in, and he thinks he has found that person when a girl challenges one of the nuns during class. Her name is Lucy, and when Michael confronts her, he finds out that Lucy is not an atheist, she is a devout Catholic who wants to be a priest. Despite their differences, Michael and Lucy befriend one another, and Lucy introduces him to this secret underground society called Heretics Anonymous, which is essentially a sort of support group for other people at St. Clair's who don't fit the mold of a typical Catholic school student. We have Abby, who is Jewish and gay. We have Eden, who is a Celtic Reconstructionist polytheist, or she is also referred to in the story as practicing paganism, and we have Max, who is a Unitarian. With Michael being the newest addition, he begins to encourage his friends to challenge the hypocritical ideas of their school and to expose them for the misinformation and unfair treatment the school is preaching. Michael takes one mission too far and it ends up putting the other heretics and even other classmates at risk. Heretics Anonymous is a comical examination on faith and tolerance. It is about being true to yourself. It is about standing up when you feel authority is wrong. And it's just all around so freaking amazing. Normally when I do a video review, I have notes. I don't have notes for this review. I'm just relying on my passion for this amazing debut novel to just take me away, and hopefully something coherent and persuasive will come out of it. I had been hyping Heretics Anonymous up in my head for months. As soon as I heard of the synopsis, I was sold. It was on my most anticipated reads of the year, and once I finally picked it up, I loved it from page one. Personally, I love the writing of Heretics Anonymous. As you will keep hearing me refer to it, it's a very humorous book. It is laugh out loud funny. I feel like we don't get many funny YA contemporaries anymore, or maybe it's just because I read mostly serious, dark topic contemporaries, but Heretics Anonymous was just a breath of fresh air in the way that it approached all of these somewhat serious and controversial topics in a really lighthearted, funny way. I will talk more about the characters later, but even though the entirety of the story is told from Michael's perspective, I felt that each character's dialogue was very individual and unique. This is one of those stories where you could pull out any line of dialogue from one of the 5 main characters, and I could probably identify who they are based on how they each speak. I think that's a really difficult thing to accomplish, especially in a debut novel, and it was done so perfectly. All of the characters are so unique and individual and authentically themselves, but the way they come together is just so great, and it's just a power group of friends. I love them. I think Michael is a really great main character. Like I said, he's just so funny and sarcastic all the time. Michael is the ultimate troll. It doesn't matter if you are a stranger, if you are a teacher, or if you are one of his good friends. He will just always fuck with you, and it is so funny. But underneath all of that sarcasm, Michael is definitely dealing with a lot of internal conflict. He is not very connected with his family. He feels like his mother doesn't side with him. He harbors a lot of resentment towards his father because he's never home. He constantly forces the family to move, and he just doesn't really have a relationship with them. Why am I still holding this book? But I think the combination of those two traits are really what makes Michael the perfect flawed main character, because he is rude and obnoxious and he does so many dumb things. I think it's easy to view Michael as someone who's just plain disrespectful, an emotionless douchebag who has no concern for anyone but himself. But when you really get into the story and you start to see him not only check his privilege, but to also understand the weight of his actions, he really does have that perfect blend of, God, you're so annoying, but oh my God, you're also so awesome and realistic. And I'm so happy a character like this exists. I love Lucy. Lucy was my favorite character. Lucy is just so wonderfully complex. She has so many layers to her. I find Lucy's dedication to her faith to be really admirable because I know from experience it can be really hard to be a teenager who is very religious. There is so much ridicule involved. People are constantly challenging you to see how your actual ideas fare in comparison to what the Bible says. And so I just think she's a really inspirational character for that reason. But Lucy is also such a badass feminist. Like, the whole reason that Michael thinks that she is a non-believer is because she says in class that well-behaved women rarely make history, and then the nun who is teaching the class says, no, they do. We have all these saints. And then Lucy brings out all this historical information. She's got all the receipts about how all of these saints were martyred and killed and would have rather died than do what they were told. And it was just... it was an amazing scene. She's also Colombian, which I did not know going into this book, and it's also really, really exciting to see a different diverse representation in stories. But another thing I love about Lucy is her storyline with her family. I won't get too much into it because this is the spoiler-free review, but Lucy is someone who has to assume a lot of responsibility in her household. She sort of has to take on a parental role for her younger siblings, and there are just so many complications that are involved with being that sort of teen that were expressed so well in this story. And I think all of the discussion around responsibility and privilege and when to put yourself first, it was amazing. I loved it. I think Abby is a really fantastic character too. While Michael is sarcastic, Abby is snarky, and he just adds this whole other level of comedic relief to an already funny story. He's also a very confrontational character, which I really liked. I feel like in YA, there's like docile characters and there's rebellious characters, but somewhere along the way, just like typical assertive confrontational people are not represented enough, so that was a really interesting perspective to add to the story. He really challenges his friends. I like that he's not afraid to call people out, and the same with Lucy, like especially with Michael, like all of them are just like, dude, check yourself, and it's great. With Eden and Max, I feel like they didn't really get the same level of development as Michael and Lucy and Abby, but they're still really great, enjoyable characters. Max is just so sweet and innocent. He just wants everyone to be happy and to just be doing their own thing. He's got this real big obsession with cloaks. I still have no idea why he loves cloaks so much, but he does, and it's great. Eden is equally as much of an enjoyable character. I feel like I just really wanted to see more from Eden and Max. Like, they do have their own individual characteristics. They have things that make them unique, but I just would have loved to just delve into them a little bit deeper like we did with Lucy and Abby. Overall, the combination of this group of friends was so great. It definitely feeds into like the Breakfast Club vibes. I love how they agree on so many things. I love when they disagree and compromise. And it's just like an overall, I feel really healthy, well-rounded friendship, and it was so great. But one of my favorite things by Heretics Anonymous is the focus on faith, and especially interfaith, all of the different types of belief systems that exist. Putting an atheist, a Catholic, a Jew, a pagan, and a Unitarian together just sounds like the beginning of a joke, but honestly, their dynamic and how they perceive each other's faith is just really, really wonderful. It is all about tolerance, which is such a refreshing message to see, especially because I feel like faith and religion and belief is never focused on in young adult books when it is such a huge part of so many teens' lives. This is not a conversion story. Everyone carries their faith throughout the entire story, but I do really like how they do challenge each other and they bring up different controversial parts of each person's different form of belief, and it's just a really healthy discussion. It brings up a lot of good points, and it was just really, really nice to watch. For a brief overview of my religious history, I was brought up in a Catholic household, and when I was a teenager, I got rebaptized into just Christianity, and so it was really cool to see especially like different perspectives on the faith that I have grown up in. Throughout the story, the heretics offer their perspective on a lot of topics that are sort of like hot buttons in the Catholic world, like sexual health, especially sexual health for teenagers, and the LGBTQIA+ community, and it was so nice to see like teens challenging these traditional views and seeing them really like pursue their interests and trying to educate and spread awareness for things they're passionate about. Religion is inherently controversial, but I feel like it would be very hard to read this book and come away like very offended, just because although things are challenged and things are discussed and there are jokes because Michael is just that person who wants to make fun of everyone, I think overall it's all about tolerance. It's all about respecting each other's beliefs. It's about, we don't have to agree on, you know, how many gods there are and how do you practice, but let's all just be nice, tolerant people and we can coexist, and it's just so good. I think that really concludes my review on Heretics Anonymous. I love this book with all of my heart. I clearly gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I don't think there are many flaws that I can really identify, and believe me, I tried so hard to be objective with this book, but every page I read was just so good that it's really hard for me to be like, I don't like this thing about it. It was just a nice, authentic YA story that brought up a lot of topics that aren't talked about. There's really interesting characters and they all make mistakes and are like normal teenagers, and it was just so good. I love Heretics Anonymous. I want everyone to read it. I'm making my mom read it. I'm gonna make my sister read it, and I'm hopefully going to make all of you read it because I think it is such a wonderful story that deserves all the hype in the world. Definitely let me know in the comments below if you have read Heretics Anonymous, what you thought of it, if you were interested. I really hope you're interested. Prepare to hear me talk about this book for the rest of my life because it is absolutely one of my new favorites. It will be on my favorites of the year list. And I'm just so happy I read it, and so happy it went far beyond the already extremely high expectations I had for it. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new video. Bye!